Hi Peaches, it's Shaaba, welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. I hope you brought along with you today some sort of comfort toy, a shield, a blanket to hide under, some cushions to make a fort because, for my sins, I have decided to take another look at bad women's anatomy. Why do we do this? Why do we do this if it's so freaking painful? Two reasons. One, it seems to be one of the biggest requests from you lovely Peaches. You like to see me tortured. But honestly, reason number two, I don't mind too much because it's good to be able to dispel? We don't misspell things. We dispel things that are not true in the hope that we can hopefully eradicate some of this bad women's anatomy. Is that wishful thinking? You let me know. I can feel my blood boiling already. We've just started. Look for the largest person, says Not a Zelda fan. Two big red flags right there. Just kidding, it's most likely a woman because they fart less, so they smell worse, because the human body has to release a certain amount of methane a day. They try to be polite by holding them in, but it does make them smell worse. What? Is this supposed to be a joke? What was the question? I'm being taken back to school, you know, when they're like, comprehension. Have you ever been told that? Comprehension answers. You have to write the question in your answer. So if someone's like, what did you have for breakfast? You don't just say, an apple. You say, for breakfast this morning, I had an apple. And you know what? I always thought that was really silly. I never understood why teachers felt it was really important for us to learn to do that, but I look at this now and I'm like, comprehension! What was your question? Okay, let's break this down. Women fart less, so women smell worse. The body has to release a certain amount of methane a day, and holding in farts specifically is what makes women specifically smell worse, apparently. Composition of a fart. I never thought I'd have to be Googling this. Apparently of a fart, 7% is methane. Do humans need to release a certain amount of methane each day? Okay, this was a quick search, but I have not seen anything so far that suggested that we need to release a certain amount of methane a day. So just putting that out there, which also makes me think that this person doesn't really know what they're talking about. They're releasing some hot air because, whilst they haven't said this specifically, they're talking about methane and then going on to say that by holding it in it makes it smell worse. But methane doesn't produce the smells, it's actually the sulfur that produces the smells. And on to the next thing I didn't think I'd be Googling today. Does holding a fart make you smell more? Some of these articles, be careful what you read on the internet, friends. Remember that most of the things that you see, because of ads and spons at the moment, is just to increase engagement, and that leads to hella clickbaity everything, which can be fine if what you're then reading is educational, if what you're seeing is clickbaity but true to what is being said. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't care about whether they're passing on information, they just care about the coins. And so you get things like this. Can holding in a fart cause it to leak out of your mouth? What? Okay, short story is, no, holding in a fart does not make you smell more. I assumed that was the case, but I felt the need to Google it. What it can do is make your farts more stinky when you do eventually let them out, because the gas inside can then start to rot instead of being out in the air. So, you know, fun facts with Shaaba. Did we think this is where this video was going? I didn't. The most ridiculous thing about all of this, though, is the suggestion that it's only women. Women smell worse because they hold in farts more. Are women not able to say abort, abort? Are women not able to do sneaky farts? I tell you the number of sneaky farts that I have done. I didn't think I'd have to be telling the internet that women do indeed fart, and they fart a fair amount, but there you go. Clearly every day is a school day. But she was, for the bathroom door did not altogether close due to the old frame of the house settling over the centuries, and she had to sit on the toilet some minutes waiting for the pee to come. Men, you see, they were able to conjure it up immediately. That was one of their powers. That thunderous splashing as they stood lordly above the bowl. Everything about them was more direct. Their insides weren't the maze women's were. For the pee to find its way through. What is this? I don't know what I'm more impressed with, the idea that a pee could ever be described as a thunderous splash. Or the connotation that women are mazes, because when I think maze and bodies, I think intestines, and I'm pretty sure both men and women have intestines. Both men and women have kidneys, right? And non-binary people for that matter. I don't understand what this is trying to say. I don't understand how this could improve the plot of any storyline. I'm very confused. Surely in terms of pee, I'm trying to think of, you know, cis anatomy of men and women. Pee has a simpler route for cis women than it does for cis men. There's an extra corridor for cis men. I'm so confused. I feel like this is one of those moments where I'm trying to reason with something that does not deserve reasoning, so I think we should move on. Only women have hormones. Men have testosterone. you should know this by now. It's just the sheer arrogance of, you should know this by now. When I see things like this, what makes me most sad is not the person who's posting it, but the thought that the education system has let them down so much. Just in case it needs to be said, because you know, it's okay, we all have to learn from somewhere. If we're not told, we don't know. Testosterone is a hormone. Both men and women and non-binary people, cis, trans, alike, every human being has hormones. It is true that there's a link between gender and the level of the different hormones you have. It is true that men have more testosterone. But cis women have testosterone too, and cis men have estrogen. It's all about a balance. It's all about the ratios. Cis women typically have more estrogen, cis men typically have more testosterone. And there are also cases, like with me, for example, I have PCOS. I'm a cis woman. I was assigned female at birth. I identify as a woman, but I have particularly high levels of testosterone in my body because of a condition called polycystic ovary syndrome. And that can lead to things like being hairier. Thank you, Asian gods and PCOS gods. It also means that because my hormones are a little bit less balanced than a typical cis woman's hormones, I can have greater fluctuations in my weight. I can have more changes in my mood. It can affect things like fertility. So hormones affect a wide range of things, but it is not as simple as only men have testosterone, only women have estrogen. I'm sorry to the large majority of you gorgeous peaches, I'm sure probably know all of this already. But it's always good to reinforce, right? And it's totally fine to not know things. It's not your fault if you don't know something. If you know something, you choose to ignore it because you're being a poop, now that's a different story. But it's okay to not know. It took me way into my early 20s, for example, to find out that cis men take hormones too. They can take testosterone and sometimes estrogen, and similarly, cis women can take testosterone. And it's more common than you think. Actually, a lot of women going through menopause take testosterone specifically because things like libido are super duper low. Balance the hormones out. I thought women had their periods forever. When my first period stopped, I assumed the neighbour's dog impregnated me when I pet him. Oh, that went down a different route. I thought you were saying that you had periods forever as in past menopause, but you mean like you start your period and you never stop. For a month, I believed myself to be carrying a half human, half dog baby, and this story is brought to you by Ontario Catholic School Sex Ed in the 90s. And this is why we need good sex ed, kids. Doesn't the stickiness of pads bother you? Someone asks. I imagine it's like having a bunch of tape down there. It's not sticky. I mean, not both sides are sticky. This person's gone, oh my god. I guess if you've never had to use a pad, like, why would you think about it, right? The idea of having double-sided sticky pads? How would that work? No, we leave the bloody crime scenes for CSI, please. The single stick pads that work quite well. This is funny. This is adorable. And I just love the idea that someone's, like, thinking these thoughts and asking these questions just as, like, a random thought after lunch at 2 p.m. to their bestie. That's adorable. I mean, yeah, they prevent leakage, but can't women just hold it in? What are we talking about? Isn't that what Kegel exercises are for? Like when I have my anus doesn't start leaking fecal matter. Are you talking about pee? And I get that sometimes you might forget to bring one to soak it all up. We're talking about periods. And it might feel uncomfortable holding it in for that long, but like it's not my fault that you were forgetful. Wow. Oh Lord, so someone is ranting because they think that people, not women, because PSA, it's not just women that have periods and not all women have periods, but that people who have periods can just hold it in. Just hold it in. What are you stressing about? White dress? Psh, just hold it in. We laugh, but honestly, I can kind of see where this logic comes from. It's not that silly. It's not like thinking women don't fart, right? Look, most people don't even know that periods and pee don't come out the same hole, so I can kind of understand if they're thinking this sort of like, well, there's one place for everything, it's one size fits all. They think if you can hold in your pee, you can hold in your poop, you can hold in your period, why not? For anyone who was thinking otherwise, it truly doesn't work like that. I wish it did. It would help me out in many a sticky situation, but alas, no. Beeswax. Ladies, instead of using pads or tampons, why don't you just sit on the toilet and let the blood flow the out? Oh wait, there's a thread! You women. Again, not just women. It's very difficult when going through Bad Women's Anatomy to remember to constantly be inclusive. I feel like I should have started this video by disclaiming that most of these people are talking about cis scenarios specifically, but of course, trans women exist, trans men exist, non-binary people exist, and everyone is beautiful and valid. You people can force piss to come out your vagina, but you can't do that with period blood? You're childish as hell. It's now childish. It's childish to have a period that goes beyond one toilet sitting. How very rude of you. Oh, the ignorance. I just find it really funny that somebody's mindset, even if they knew, I'm already rubbing my temples, That's how much brain ache this forum gives me. Somebody has the audacity to not only rant about this on the internet publicly, thinking it's a good thing to say, but even if this could happen, even if this might have been factually correct, the idea that they would think people would rather extend the length of a time of a period, buy additional products that sit in pants or need to be entered places that are, let's face it, quite uncomfortable, you know, compared to wearing nothing. We would rather do all of that than to just sit on the toilet once and let it all come out. If I sat on the toilet for a length of time it took me to complete my period from beginning to end and let everything flow out, you better be inventing and buying me some kind of toilet bed hybrid transformer thingy, because I'm gonna be there for like sometimes 3 days, sometimes 7 or 8 days. Babe, it's long. You better be bringing me food, you better be bringing me entertainment, you better be bringing me internet and a plug socket, because girl's gotta work. It is not as simple as just sitting down and doing a really long pee, and if it was as simple as that, do you not think that people would be doing that? Like, where is the logic that goes into thinking, this is a great idea, this is a great use of my time, I'm totally gonna rant about this on the internet. Migraines, ooh, interesting. Jessie Calgren Fazard, a dear friend and amazing creator who just hit 1 million, by the way, whoop whoop. Jessie did a really interesting video on migraine treatments, like back in the olden days, and it was terrifying. And I get migraines, not often, but often enough to be annoying, you know? So I'm always up for it. Let's see what Bad Women's Anatomy has for me in terms of amazing migraine treatments. Migraines are caused by women avoiding foods that allow them to fart. The only thing genetic here is an anal psychosis. I don't think I've ever heard this term before. Get yourself a tall can of black beans and start munching away. Let the magnesium and folic acid fix your guts and brain all back up. Do you know, when I first started talking about migraine solutions, I kind of had a tiny glimmer of hope that maybe this would be something reasonable, and I don't know why. Black beans will solve all of my problems the next time I cannot get out of bed because of excruciating pain happening behind my eyes. I just need to get myself some black beans. I just need to stuff myself with burritos because my butt is connected to my brain. I don't even know how somebody thought this was logical. And also, you heard it here first, migraines can only be experienced by women. That is the case, according to this poster. Migraines are misogynistic, black beans are paracetamol, keep up with the program, babe. I don't understand why you've fallen so far behind. I saw a girl with a blood stain in her crotch area earlier today. She obviously forgot to shove a tampon up there. Look at the face. That's how you're feeling. Imagine how she's feeling, my love. If you can't control your bladder, you should probably just use pads instead all the time, though. Imagine if this was applied to anybody else about anything else. Just wear it all the time. Sometimes you get diarrhea, and to avoid an accident, you should just take that medicine that bungs you up all the time. I'm trying to think if there's an equivalent thing that cis men rely on, but I don't think there is any. And maybe that's why there is no empathy for this sort of thing. Typical cis men don't have the forethought and also sit in the comfort of privilege of not having to think about things like tampons. And so they're like, just wear it all the time. It's silly as what you are. You're silly sausage. Get off the internet and into a sex ed school, please. If you're pregnant, would you cut your hair? I'm 31 weeks and I wanted to cut my hair, but I've heard stories about cutting your hair whilst pregnant. People tell me it will cut the baby cord or make the baby's life shorter. Babe, you can cut your hair. It's okay. The cord is inside belly button, goes inside hair. Hair does not do that. Hair is fine. You can cut your hair. You can dye your hair. You can tie it up into a really tall ponytail and go woo woo woo. It's okay. It's okay. It's not gonna harm the baby. Where are people getting this from? What stories have you been told? Who dislikes you so much? If you throw up when you are pregnant, can you throw up your baby? Could you imagine how unfair this would be if it would be true? That the world would really go, there is a potential that you could throw up your baby, and I'm going to make sure that morning sickness is a very prominent and common symptom of pregnancy. We just wouldn't have a chance, would we? It's okay. No, my loves, for anybody who needs to know, you can't throw up your baby. Your baby doesn't sit in your stomach. You throw up things from your tummy. In theory, if you could throw up your baby, you could also throw up your period. But it doesn't work that way. Thank goodness. The stomach is different to the womb. They're different areas. Maybe all of these people just need a body map. Oh, like Operation. We could make Operation, but like cute, educational. And maybe instead of like taking them out and having that annoying beep sound, it could be like boop, Every time you touch it makes like a cute sound. So it's like, touch the uterus, a boop. Where do tampons go? A boop. When you get a girl pregnant and she has twins, is it because you performed more than usual? Someone's gone, this is sarcasm, I hope. And they've responded saying, no, I'm just asking. You know what? At least you are asking and you're not being rude about it. No, this is not how it works for anybody who needs to know. When you conceive naturally, so many little sperms go swimming over to the little egg and only one is required to make a baby. And there are 2 ways that twins can happen, as far as I am aware. One way is that there are multiple eggs sitting there, where sperms come along and successfully manage to create an embryo, which is where an egg and sperm come together to make a baby. That's when you have twins, but they're not identical. The other way in which it can happen is that you have 1 egg and 1 sperm that's created an embryo, but at some point that embryo splits into 2, and that's when you have identical twins. But regardless of how much you performed, only 1 sperm, 1, ever goes into a baby. There have actually been some cases where 2 sperm have fertilized an egg, but sadly when that happens, in most cases, the embryo doesn't survive. Women are not supposed to have periods. That shit ain't natural. A poor diet is what causes you to bleed every month in order for the female body to cleanse itself. Who are you? What? How do they think people exist? This shit ain't natural. Poor diet is what contributes to the reproductive process. There you go. Dear women. No. Oh no. Oh no. Dear women, when men you, they deposit some of their personality in you. Having multiple men do this negatively affects your psyche and your personality. God designed women to be recipients of only their husband. This person called Reno has actually got their hashtag Reno's Nuggets. Nuggets, I imagine, as in nuggets of wisdom, when the reality is Reno's words are less wise than a chicken nugget that's been on the floor for 2 weeks. Why are people like this? Do you know? Can anyone explain to me what happened to you growing up? Who told you this? It just makes me sad. This isn't true. For anyone who needs to know it, this isn't true. So apparently women don't poop like guys. Since their bodies and womb are different, they don't excrete poop like brown and smells bad. It's white like dogs. As in white dogs? Or do you also think that dogs only poop white? It smells like paint. This is true because I was told this ages ago and it makes sense if you think about it. What? No, that's definitely not true, says someone. By the way, dog's poo only goes white when it's been out in the sun for ages, says someone else. Maybe that's what they were thinking of. Dead man who told you this. Someone said, can't even remember his name, but I believed it for years. I know what we need to teach people. How to evaluate the information they are given. We need to teach people how to research properly and how to critically think about words that come out of people's mouths that might sometimes resemble the white poop of a dog that's been left in the sun for ages, but that would mean that people don't come to conclusions like this. When you're swimming, your period stops or just doesn't happen, but make sure that after you go swimming and get out the water, you have a pad or something, because your period will start anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes when you are done swimming. You know what? Of everything that we've seen, this bothers me the least because it's so common. I also used to think this. This is something that my family thought and told me. It is not the case. Your period can still release in water. It can in the bath, it can in a swimming pool. There's so many misconceptions about periods. I wonder why that specifically. People thinking that periods make you kind of like invincible to interacting with the rest of the world. You can have a period, you can be on your period and still get pregnant. Water is not some magical kind of period plug, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because it's always sod's law, right? That you're going on holiday, you plan your gorgeous, beautiful outfits, you envisage yourself by the pool, and then your period starts and you're like, gosh darn. But it doesn't mean you can't swim. There are definitely some methods, some period products that are more effective at protecting you in things like swimming pools. And it's totally safe to swim whilst on your period. Obviously when I'm saying safe, I mean it's safe for you as a person person having a period, it's very important that you're still hygienic if you're sharing that area with other people. But this is a very common misconception. Did you also think this growing up, Peaches? Were you told, did you ever think that going in a pool meant that your period just stopped? Going in water, going in a bath, no period. Alright, I think we need to just do one more because my brain can't deal with anything more than that. If you don't go to a hospital 9 months after being pregnant, does the baby continue to grow inside of you, or does it eventually come out on its own? This is kind of wholesome. I don't mind this one. And you know what? It's a fair question. I mean, as long as someone's not thinking, if you like cross your legs and you're like, nope, I'm absolutely not letting you out, not going to hospital, no. If you keep doing that for like 13 years, you'll like give birth to a teenager. That's where such a thought becomes problematic. But no, it's typically around the 9-month mark, right? But sometimes it can be much earlier that people go into labor. It's scary and dangerous, but it can even be months before sometimes. And if you pass your due date, like past the 9-month period, quite often doctors will encourage you to get induced or do things to naturally induce the birth as well, because it's not a good idea for babies to be in the little oven longer than they need to be. The squishes need to come out into the big wide world, because things like our placentas, things like the umbilical cords, the longer that babies are in there beyond 9 months, it can actually be really dangerous and they might begin to not function properly, which is why it's really important to get a baby out. I love the innocence of this question though. Like, if you don't go to the hospital, maybe the baby doesn't come out. Like, it makes it sound like you can just book a time to go to the hospital and be like, I finished my season of Selling Sunset, just had dinner, it's okay, I'm ready to have the baby now. I can imagine it'd be wildly convenient if it did. But babies came out of bodies long before hospital buildings existed. If you enjoyed this video, my loves, I don't know why. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Tag me in anything that you find that is bad women's anatomy that you'd like us to explore next time. I hope you survived this episode. I'll see you next time with another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.